first I'd like to really thank the conference committee to offer me this chance to fly from cold winter Melbourne to this warm Oxford to present this work, which is a joint study with my colleague Jan Abel Olsen, based in University of Tromsø in Norway. In this study, we're pretty much looking at, we have some questions in mind. In particular is what really matters on life domains for different people over the life course. We try to go back to some of the backgrounds that this study fitting broadly into, I guess. In particular, this study, I think, falls broadly into the life domains importance literature, in which quite a few different studies has been done using qualitative analysis, which provide rich information about why a particular life domain matters for world population. Quantitative studies, on the other hand, I guess, provide more detailed information. In particular, what we are trying to contribute into the literature here is to quantify the trade-offs among the different life domains. So different from most previous study, which use ranking exercise, we're looking at, we're using a choice experiment. We consider both life domain as well as levels, pretty much well in the distribution that the particular life domains would be. So that's just broad background. And the key motivation we have is that when we're trying to think about to facilitate the resource prioritization goes beyond health, both two courses. My colleague and I are health economics, so we work a lot of preference-based quality of life instrument. Whereas here, when we're thinking about resource prioritization goes beyond health, we realize that most of the quality of life instrument, which focus purely on health, is potentially not sufficient. So that's what the key motivation we have is to develop such a multidimensional well-being index. And to do so, one key step is to understand the relative importance of different key life domains. We do this with the general public. We ask about their opinion about which life domains, well, I will show that later on. And we also want to explore the potential preference heterogeneity among the population, and in which the lessons we learned, hopefully it can lead into a preference-based well-being index. So let me talk about the data a little bit. So we conducted an online survey. It's in the early 2020. So it's an online survey. It's just a COVID pandemic starts. So we conducted an online survey with a panel provider, Think, which has been working with us before on cross-sectional data collection. The survey was coded on Qualtrics, and we initially goes to 5 countries. With a targeting sample size around 2,000. There were 2 versions, and for today, I focus on the versions that focus purely on life domains. So that's around 800 respondents in each country, general public, 18 years and above. We request for representative to age, gender in particular, and then a wide coverage about the geographic location. The other thing to notice is that, except for Norway, all other countries, we only have English version questionnaire, so that may be some of the limitations. In Norway, it's only the Norwegian language version questionnaire. So the first step we're coming up with is to say which life domain should we focus on in this study. Instead of going around starting with qualitative study at that time, which is impossible, we choose one of the more widely used instrument, Personal Wellbeing Index, which was developed by colleagues in Deakin University in Australia, as well as a long international team together. So it has been widely used in Australia as well as other countries. So nicely, you have 7 life domains there. Standard of living, health, achieving life, relationship, safety, feeling part of community, and future security. And for this particular study, because we're really interested to know the life domains that can be explicitly intervened by public policy. So among the 7, we dropped one, achieving in life, which we think that linking back to the personal background. So we dropped that, leaving to 6. And if you used PWI before, you know that that's the range between 0 to 10, which is ideal as an instrument itself, but it'll be very challenging to fit into the discrete choice experiment context. So what we try to do is to assign the value differently using other instrument. So in this case, we use 4 levels from one of the global quality of life items. So each life domain will be described such as very bad, bad, good, or very good. We draw the middle level all right. One thing is that to further simplify the choice scenarios could be created, and also to maintain a thematic pattern. And meanwhile, we know that quite a lot of surveys on satisfaction, the middle level was dropped. So we maintained thematic patterns such that we can see the range of utility moving from very bad to very good. To further simplify the choice scenario to the respondents, we use one of the implicitly partial profile design, such that instead of showing all 6 attributes, we only show 4 life domains only. And then with not overlapping levels, so you always change each time. It comes down with the limitation that only the main effect can be estimated, but based on our pure experience on quality of life instrument, that wouldn't be an issue. So in total, 96 choice scenarios was created, and each respondent completed 12 tasks. Let me show one of the example here. So in this example task, respondent was asked between the following 2 life conditions, which is better in your view, assuming all else being equal. And then they face life condition A, life condition B, and each of them will be described based on life domains and corresponding levels. So respondent can tell us which life condition they think is better. So each time it changed and repeated 12 times, altogether 96 of these choice scenarios. In the survey, we collected a few other informations in addition to the PWI, choice experiment, a series of other social demographic characteristics, some personality traits, and regional characteristics, which pretty much means postcode that can be potentially linking to other things. For the data analysis, we in particular interested to understand the preference heterogeneity. So at least 3 key methods we use in this study, including the mixed logic, latent class, conditional logic, and a more recent method, mixed multinomial logic model, which pretty much incorporates both mixed logic and latent class conditional logic model. So at the end, the best model was chosen based on the information criterion, such as BIC. And also, firstly, what I'd like to represent is the life domain importance, which in this study we defined as the length of the utility range, such that from the very bad to very good, how long the latent utility would be, and divided by the summary of all 6 life domains, so we get a sense about which life domain is more important. At the end, to create the preference-based index, in this version, it's very straightforward. It's rescaled onto 0 to 1 scale. 0 means they scored very bad to all 6 domains, and 1 means they scored very good to all 6 domains. So just some of the results. This is just a very distribution about their overall life satisfaction among respondents in each country. Just pretty much to comment that it's quite similar to what we see in other survey from this data set. And then moving on to the DCE results, the first thing I'd like to briefly show is that how difficult the task it is for respondent to complete. And you probably see with the pattern will be relatively similar in probably all 4 countries, in addition to Norway, slightly different. If you think about those who rate difficult and very difficult together, that's a little bit above 30% of respondents say that. But if you only focus on very difficult, 1.8% responding in Norway specific to that. In general, compared to other DC studies, the pattern will be quite similar. That's probably what we expected to see. And then looking at the results. So this is the results for each country, and only focus on life domain importance. Here we see that the key conclusion, I guess, is here that personal health is ranked consistently in all countries as the top most important ones. The next three are mixed based on the country, including standard of living, personal relationship, and personal safety. The other two, future security and community connectiveness, are consistently less important than the other four life domains. And the patterns, you can see the graph is also relatively similar across all the countries. One grid line here probably is slightly different from all others. The country, I think that's Norway, slightly different from other four countries. So here are just some more detailed results based on the latent class analysis of the chalk experiment. And so in this page, it shows Australia on top and UK here. In general, as you can probably see, the pattern will be quite similar. In all the countries, we found there are, interestingly, two classes. One class taken into account around, I would say on average, probably 80%, that all 6 domains matters for them, whereas a smaller group, around 20%, or in UK, 14%, only one domain really matters for them. For example, here, that is standard of living really matters for them. So this pattern will be quite similar in all different countries, that we see 2 groups. And that's Canada and the USA. Again, the patterns will be relatively similar. We see 2 groups over there. The only different, potentially slightly different, is Norway, that we still see the 2 groups, but the second group account for 45% of the population, focus on standard of living and the community connectiveness only. So that is the only thing, it's a bit different from all the other 4 countries. And if you're looking at what will be the respondents, what we found is pretty much those who only pay attention to a particular, very few life domains are those who are younger. Younger is probably, in our analysis, we say is 18 to 34 years old, likely to be male, and those who say the task will be easy, and those who complete the task relatively quick. That's what the respondent looks like. So some final results, just to show some potential heterogeneity there. If you're looking at socioeconomic status, here we defined it using 3 variables: household income, or education, and if you have partner education as well. In general, it's very relatively similar, although low socioeconomic status may place slightly high weight on standard of living as compared to personal safety for the higher socioeconomic status group. Looking at the age, here I only showed age 65 plus versus all sample, which are relatively similar patterns. And then the other thing we're trying to say is that how robust really the result is from this chalk experiment. So based on the Australian sample, we have conducted a separated study that using a different online panel provider, focused purely on 65 plus group, 1,000 respondents, using the same type of design but create totally different choice scenarios. They facing with different type of chalk experiment. They will ask between the following 2 people, who do you think has better life? We also change the life domain levels from very poor to very good. So we change a lot of different scenarios. The results here shows 3 different age cohort from age 65 on to the oldest old 75 and above. Very consistent and very consistent on the relative ranking if we're comparing the results to this study I just presented. So that gives us some degree of certainty about the findings. So just to summarize, the consistent finding we found that most important life domains including the health, standard of living, personal relationship, and personal safety. We observe some sort of heterogeneity across country and also within each country. Limitation of the study, one thing particularly is that it's a cross-sectional survey and based on the online panel members who volunteered to to participate. They did get reimbursed on completing survey. And we did learn quite a bit from this study on developing a preference-based well-being index. So I think that's all for my presentation. I'd just like to thank the survey respondents who are really generous, gave out their time to participate in the study, without whom this study would not be possible. And to acknowledge our grant funders, Australian Research Council Decker Fellowship, as well as Research Council of Norway. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.